In this video, I want to share with you 5 tips for starting an online business when you are over 40 or when you are in your 40s. And this is important because when you reach 40 or when you are in your 40s, you need to be looking at business opportunities that can be able to give you time, location, as well as financial freedom. And starting an online business is one such opportunity. It can allow you to be able to monetize or to leverage the power of the internet and being able to actually create digital assets to be able to monetize your knowledge, your expertise, your skills, or your life experiences. And that's why I would want you to actually consider these 5 tips if you are thinking or considering starting an online business as a person who is in his 40s or over 40. The first tip for starting an online business when you are over 40 is actually having a clear concept, or basically being able to know your why. And this is very important because there are very many reasons why people over 40 actually start or build online businesses. And you need to be very clear on your reason. You need to be clear on why it is that you want to build an online business and the solution that you want to provide, which basically means being clear on the problem that you want to solve. And this calls you to actually look inward. You need to really understand yourself, be able to do an audit of your knowledge, your expertise, the skills that you have, and the life experiences that you have had. Because those are going to be the foundation of the online business that you are going to build. I am not asking you to probably build something outside of what you already have, because I do believe that you have everything that you need to be able to build a successful and profitable online business. And that's why being able to understand and have clarity on the concept that you're actually working on is very important. Being clear on why is actually the most important decision that you're going to make at the first stage of building your online business. So take time to ensure that you have this actually tied up. You want to ensure that you're in the right space, the right approach, and you are in the right frame of mind when approaching the idea of building an online business. If this is the first time that you and I are meeting, I am Joe, and on this YouTube channel, I actually work and help people who are over 40 to be able to leverage the power of the internet to build an income generating online asset, or basically to be able to build an income generating online business. And to further help you on this particular journey, I have created an online business starter kit which you can get for free using the link in the description below. And all I need from you is your name, your email address, and you are going to get it in the next couple of minutes. The second tip for starting an online business when you are over 40, and one that I think is the most important, is that you need to actually start small and do not complicate the entire process. One of the problems or one of the challenges that you're going to face when starting an online business is this idea that your business needs to be big. And it is a mistake that all of us make when you're thinking about building something. You want it to be probably very big. You want it to reach a lot of people, because unfortunately, that's how we have been socialized. We have been made to believe that a business only makes sense if it is big. But when you are building an online business, or actually any sort of business, you need to actually think of how you can be able to start small without a lot of complications, and then use that foundation to build your online business. And this is important because when you are starting, you may not be able to have clarity or be able to see the entire staircase, as they say. But at least you can be able to know a few of the steps that you need to take when building your online business. That might include starting, for example, with just your laptop or an access to internet. There are businesses that you can actually start just using your phone, as long as, again, you have internet access. So the idea is to look for the best way or the smallest way that you can be able to take the first step, and then use that as your foundation, and then continue to build on it to a level where it will be big enough and scalable enough for you to achieve your online business goals. The third tip when it comes to starting an online business in your 40s is that you actually need to create an offer. And I know this is something that I also took a while to understand or to get my mind around. That when you're building a business, when you're building an online business, you need to actually start with the end in mind and then work backwards. This is not something that actually happens in normal circumstances. Most of the time you are asked to do everything else and then create the product or the service later on. But now, knowing what I know, I would actually advise you to start with being clear on the product or the service that you are going to offer to the target market that you want to get involved in. And this is important because when you create your first draft of the product or the service that you are going to offer, then you are going to get an opportunity to start building on it. They may not make money when you start, and you may actually get a lot of negative feedback from customers. But if you ask me, that is actually very good. You want to have a product in the market. You want your target audience and target customers to actually interact with a real product or a real service. They might not be the best in the market yet, but at least you have something that you can be able to iterate, something that you can improve over time. And unfortunately, this is one of the things that many people skip when they're actually starting or building an online business. They do not build an offer, they do not create anything that they can offer to the market. But I would want to persuade you to actually think of your business model, which is, a way of saying you need to think of how your online business is going to make money, and then align every other strategy to actually fit with your business model. If you would be interested in pursuing an online business or building an online business, I would be very glad to have a conversation with you. And what I am going to do is to put a link in the description below where you can be able to apply or book for, a 60-minute conversation with me. It's a clarity call, it's free. And I'm not going to pitch you anything in that call. It's just going to be a conversation with you, trying to figure out the opportunities that exist when it comes to being able to build an online business and how you can be able to approach it given your specific situation, given what you know, your set of skills, your set of experiences, and probably the expertise that you have accumulated over the years. So if that's something that you would be interested in, feel free to book that call using the link in the description below. The fourth tip when starting an online business in your 40s is that you actually need to be able to learn how to create content. Content creation is a skill and something that you need to learn if you are actually interested in building an online business. And this is because creating content gives you an opportunity to be able to reach to an audience that you may not be able to reach one-on-one or using any other means of communication. Because when you create a piece of content, it is a digital asset. It's going to be working for you even when you are probably not working on your business. And what I mean is that, for example, this piece of content that I've created, it is something that, potentially a lot of people will interact with. And remember, I have just sat once and created this once. But it provides an opportunity for any target audience or any person who finds this of value to interact with me and probably be able to look at, other offers or other things that I can provide to be able to help them solve a problem. What this means is that you actually need to make a decision on the kind of content that you're going to be creating. You can be able to create written content, video content, or even spoken content. And as your business grows, you might actually realize that you need a combination of two. And what I mean here is that you can, for example, start a blog where you actually publish your written articles or written content, and then you can actually repurpose those written content into actually video content. That means now you have a written form of content, and that piece also becomes a video that you can publish on YouTube. So you have two pieces of content that are doing work for you, that continue to attract your target audience. And if you have optimized those articles or those pieces of content well, they can actually also be the first step towards actually having a lead into your business. And if you ask me, creating content is actually one form of leverage that you actually need to understand. Because when you are building an online business, the key thing is being able to create digital assets that you can be able to actually leverage to be able to continue providing or being able to sell your digital assets, digital products, or the offer that you have created, either in the form of a product or in the form of a service. So this is something that you need to actually consider and have it as one of the priorities and tips that you must implement as you build your online business when you are in your 40s or as a person who is over 40. The fifth tip when starting an online business when you are over 40 or when you are in your 40s is that you need to be patient. Building an online business is not a get-rich-quick scheme, so you need to actually come into this with a mindset that actually looks into the long term and having the patience to build something one step at a time. And one of the benefits or advantages that you have as a person who is over 40 is that you have been around for a while. You understand that to be able to build something of value and something that is meaningful, you are going to take time. You are going to take time before you get the results that you actually desire. And that means that maybe you already have patience built into your character. You can be able to build something and wait for the results of it over a period of maybe 1, 2, or even 3 years and more. And that gives you a huge advantage, knowing that what you are doing when you start is planting the seed of the tree that will grow into actually a tree that gives you a lot of fruits later in the years to come. So having a long-term mindset when you are starting and building an online business is a very important approach or perspective to have when you are over 40 or when you are in your 40s. So it is important for you to have patience, and I can almost guarantee you that if you are starting a business when you are in your 40s, your patience is going to be tested, because this is not actually a quick kind of business to turn around. Yes, it is easy to start. You can be able to start getting results quicker than probably other traditional businesses, but still you need to have patience. I'll give you an example. If you want, for example, to build a YouTube channel as your foundation of your online business, it is going to take time before you get traction and before you get to a level where your YouTube channel actually turns into an income-generating online machine. And that is something that you need to be aware of and have the patience to be able to build the business based on the business model that you have picked. So do not be worried when things don't seem to be working as quickly as probably that you would have expected. It is part of the process, it's part of the game. And I think if you have, let's say, a 5-year kind of a frame or a 10-year frame, that might actually be an advantage, because you will actually be working towards the 10-year mark. So anything that happens maybe in the first 12 months, in the first 3 years, may not actually change the course or the direction of what it is that you're doing. This is going to be it from me on this particular video, and if you'd want to learn more about how you can build an income generating online business, watch the video on your screen right now. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not, and I'm going to see you in my next video.